I handed him divorce papers today over his Reddit account and a bag of chips. Let me explain from the beginning, because the chips are genuinely the least of it. I met him when I was 20 and he was 35. I know how that sounds. People around me at the time had opinions and I dismissed every single one of them. Told myself they didn't understand that age was just a number. I was 20. I thought being chosen by someone older meant something about me. What I didn't understand then was that I hadn't had enough life yet to know what a healthy dynamic looked like. Certain things registered as normal that weren't. He never had to work hard to shape my expectations. They were already shaped before he got there. I'm still working through what that means, that I understand it now in a way I didn't then. The papers have been sitting in my home office for 6 months. I had them drawn out the morning after a fight where he said, "I've been hearing this in my head ever since, that I should be grateful it was only him I was cleaning up after." He apologized the next day. Detailed, thoughtful apology. Said exactly why what he said was wrong, that he didn't believe it. I accepted it. That I couldn't stop circling back to the sentence, because I don't think the things people say when they're angry just come from nowhere. I think anger strips the filter and shows you what was already sitting underneath. He believed I owed him gratitude for the inconvenience of living with him. That thought existed in him. He just usually kept it out of sight. I found his Reddit account 2 weeks ago. Saw the username in a screenshot he showed me, memorized it before I could stop myself, then spent 2 days talking myself out of looking it up. Eventually I did. There were posts about me, complaints, things he'd never said to my face, written out for strangers who only had his version. In one post he was being completely torn apart in the comments, and reading those responses from people who didn't know either of us, people who only had his words and still saw through them, that's when it stopped feeling abstract. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't being too sensitive. The folder in the office stopped being a backup plan that night. Today I came home from one of the hardest days I've had in years. My direct manager, someone I genuinely liked, someone who consistently showed up for me at work in ways that mattered, was killed by her husband. I found out mid-shift and spent the rest of the day holding myself together enough to get home. I walked in the door and told him what happened. I started to cry. He said we should wish both of them luck and move on with our day. I tried to convince myself he hadn't been paying attention. That lasted about an hour. Then I was in the middle of making dinner and he complained it wasn't ready yet, even though he'd been sitting on the couch and had just finished half a bag of chips. I pointed that out. He threw the bag at me. It landed on the floor I had mopped and swept that morning. He grabbed a broom, did not check his work. I finished cooking. I made his plate, same as I've done every single night for 7 years. 4 of those years married. Every night I make the plate. I walk it to wherever he's sitting. I set it down in front of him. It has never once occurred to him to do the same for me. I used to think that was just who I was in this relationship, that it was something I chose. Tonight, carrying his plate to the table, I understood for the first time that I hadn't chosen it. I'd just slowly become the person who did it because no one ever asked if I wanted to. I put food on the table and sat down, stepped on a chip he'd missed when he swept up. Just one chip. I don't know why I screamed. It wasn't the chip. It was 7 years of making his plate and a day I'd spent crying at work and him telling me to wish both of them luck, and the Reddit posts and the sentence about being grateful. It was all of it at once, and I was already walking toward the office before I'd consciously decided anything. I came back with the papers and a pen, put them next to his dinner, and walked out while he said my name. I'm in my car right now. I've been sitting here for a while just breathing, not panicked exactly. Something quieter, something that feels weirdly a little like relief. I've spent 7 years in this, made his late every night, cleaned up behind him, talked myself down from things I should have listened to, convinced myself that love was enough to carry the weight of a dynamic that was never going to be equal. And tonight I stepped on a chip and something in me finally just gave. I hope I don't go back in. I hope if I start to waver, I remember this exact feeling. Sitting in this car, finally breathing, finally done explaining myself to someone who never really saw me. I'm not going back in.